right? If gold was enough to back the currency, the lira wouldn't be crashing right now. Gold is an idea for the 19th century, and it was the best idea for sound money in the 19th century. But in the 21st century, the problem with gold is people keep making more of it. It's just the king commodity, but commodities don't make good money, because ultimately the problem with it is you can keep making more of it, and the bankers keep rehypothecating it, and they print too much paper gold.
I was a silver stacker before my Bitcoin days, and I agree with Michael that Bitcoin is currently the best option for the 21st century and beyond. Today I have a clip of Michael from the Flying Frisbee podcast talking about Bitcoin's positioning leading into the next bull market that I think is just beginning. I think this is going to be one of the most exciting bull markets in history, one for the record books. After Michael's clip, I'm also going to put a campaign ad from RFK Jr. that I found, and I found it interesting. His campaign is going to start accepting Bitcoin for donations, the first presidential campaign in history that is going to accept Bitcoin. And then I found this article, a recent article where RFK Jr. confirms recent Bitcoin purchases. And it says that the Democratic presidential candidate has previously been supportive of Bitcoin, promising to exempt the crypto from capital gains taxes. I like what he says. I kind of wish he would run as an independent. Just being a Democrat makes me nervous. Anyway, right after the Bitcoin conference, Kennedy said he decided to put his money where his mouth is, and he bought 2 Bitcoin for each of his 7 children. I just found that interesting, so I'll add that clip at the end. But first, let's take a look at what Michael had to say.
Where do you see Bitcoin at the moment? What is the state of Bitcoin?
Well, I think Bitcoin is poised for the next great bull run right now. We've moved through a difficult year of rationalization, and if you roll the clock back about 12 months, the entire crypto industry was fairly confusing, fairly chaotic, but there was Terra, there was Luna. If I go through all of the meltdowns, Terra, Luna, Three Arrows, Genesis, Voyager, Celsius, BlockFi, Alameda, FTX. Right, each of those cascading, taking us into 2023, where now we have just a barrage of regulator lawsuits against DeFi exchanges, against crypto tokens, against crypto exchanges, against crypto staking protocols. And if I were to look at the big picture, I would say the big picture for Bitcoin is it's trading somewhere near the 4-year simple moving average. So normally in bull runs it moves above that simple moving average, and then bear markets drive it kind of down to the moving average. But if you think about the 4-year simple moving average, it means that for the past 1,400 days, people have been paying this much or more for Bitcoin. So I think of Bitcoin as like a bank in cyberspace. And when people buy Bitcoin, they're putting their money in a bank. So if you ask the question, how much did everybody deposit in the bank? Looking at that 4-year simple moving average kind of gives you an idea that for the most part, that's the amount of money that was put in the bank. If I was trying to come up with like a book value for Bitcoin, I would look at the 4-year moving average for Bitcoin. If tomorrow Bitcoin was trading, it just jumped up to $100,000 a coin on low volume, and it was 4 times the simple moving average, you would say, well, that's a bit rich. But if tomorrow it spiked down to $5,000, and you're saying, well, it's like 20% the simple moving average, you would say, well, it seems like that's being artificially suppressed. Everyone that actually bought into Bitcoin paid a lot more than that, and so they're probably not going to sell for that. So I see Bitcoin as having a pretty strong fundamental base here. If I look at all the things holding it back, 25,000 coins or crypto token confusion, that holds it back. If you're not sure about the difference between BTC and FTT and Terra Luna, that holds it back. You know, when UST and FTT and Luna and the like, when they all melt down, then there's a lot less confusion. Not knowing the difference between the Bitcoin network and the FTT network, if they're both equal, like if FTT is just a much quicker, cheaper, less energy intensive version of Bitcoin, I mean, they're both blockchain things, that holds it back. At the end of the day, of course, FTT was like backed by a couple of people, and you pinprick it and it collapses to zero. Bitcoin is backed by 400 exahash, which means more energy than the entire US Navy uses and more computer power than all the other computers on Earth combined. Right? If you understood it like that, you would say, well, Bitcoin is the most powerful, secure computer network, and the other tokens were just kind of spun up tokens. So over the last 12 months, everyone that thought it was a good idea to short Bitcoin went bankrupt. Everybody in the business of taking your Bitcoin and then loaning it to someone else who's going to invest in a DeFi crypto token protocol went bankrupt. Everyone that was not committed to holding Bitcoin for the long term, but willing to loan their Bitcoin to another crypto bank to rehypothecate it, went bankrupt. And so what you've got is, and everyone that thought that FTT token or Luna token was just as good as Bitcoin, they're either bankrupt or they're bankrupt and on the run, or bankrupt and about to be in jail. And so what's happening here, right? The free market is shaking out all the crypto pretenders. All the next Bitcoins are getting shaken out. And FTT is obviously not the next Bitcoin. Solana and Cardano are obviously not the next Bitcoin. They're unregistered securities according to the SEC, which means they're not commodities at all. And if you're not a commodity, you can't be a global money or a global property because you're going to be regulated. There's an attack surface. Like if you were a registered security, you're not going to be a global property. Like Apple and Microsoft and Facebook and Alibaba are not going to be global properties because they're registered, regulated securities. But certainly an unregistered security is definitely not going to be a global property. It's not even as good as Apple, and Apple is 100 times weaker as a property idea than Bitcoin is because it's security, not a commodity. So we've had 12 months of regulatory clarity. We've had 12 months of shakeout of unwise leverage and foolish leverage in the system. We've had 12 months of people that are lukewarm supporters having their Bitcoin taken away from them. It's unfortunate. It's tragic in many ways. But if you trust your Bitcoin to an altcoiner like Sam Bankman-Fried, well, he crashed his altcoins, and he also took your Bitcoin, and he panic sold your Bitcoin. So who's left holding Bitcoin right now, right? It's the true believers. What's the price of Bitcoin? It's trading near the 4-year simple moving average. It's not trading up at 60,000 where it was like at 3 or 4 times the 4-year moving average. It's got a strong base in it. The regulators are cleaning up the space. The message in the United States and Western Europe clearly is the future of crypto is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the one thing every crypto exchange can buy, can sell, can hold. The accounting treatment for digital assets like Bitcoin is being clarified. And if we move from indefinite intangible accounting to fair value accounting, it opens the door for Microsoft and Google and Amazon and Facebook to buy billions and billions of dollars of Bitcoin and carry it as a treasury asset. So I like all the fundamentals. I don't like how we got here. It's been painful. But, there's no simple way to introduce, a new idea into the world. And there wasn't going to be a simple way to educate the entire marketplace on the benefits of Bitcoin. So all things considered, I think we've made a lot of progress in 12 months.
I'm proud to make an historic announcement. Our campaign will be the first presidential campaign in history to accept Bitcoin donations through the Lightning Network. As president, I will make sure that your right to hold and use Bitcoin is inviolable. You should be able to own your own private keys the same as you own the keys to your car or own your wallet. I will reverse the government's growing hostility toward this industry and keep innovation at home. And I encourage you to expand your use of pro-environmental energy techniques, such as capturing waste methane and using waste heat. However, I want to make one thing plain. The environmental argument should not be used as a smokescreen for an agenda of suppressing Bitcoin. Americans have come to distrust the government, including the way that it has manipulated our money supply to benefit the very rich and to prosecute endless wars. Bitcoin is a bulwark against precisely this kind of government and corporate expansion and intrusion. The public ledger of Bitcoin makes every transaction transparent to everyone. It might therefore be a harbinger of a future in which the government is transparent to the people. Your support of Bitcoin puts you in the same category as the framers of the Constitution that gave us that Bill of Rights, that created these democratic institutions, and you are the current manifestation of that impulse. So thank you all very much for everything that you do, and thank you for being part of this movement.